Welcome to another episode of Revenue Leaders Uncovered. Super honored to be joined by Lewis today from Ag1 Lab. If you could introduce yourself, but also your awesome company.
Hey, Oliver, it's nice to be here. So I define myself as someone that gets an unlimited amount of ideas every day, and I kind of evaluate them to see what has the biggest potential and what will fulfill my life purpose the best. So I have kind of this sense of following my inner self in a way, but of course looking the potential of every idea. And I kind of serial entrepreneur. Right now, Ag1 Labs creates AI solutions mainly for researchers, teachers, and students. So that's what we are focusing right now. We also have a side of it that is focusing on automating sales, promotions, kind of like a CRM where agents talk with customers and talk with prospects instead of people. But of course, you can always turn the agents off and intervene manually. So that's what we do currently.
Yeah, definitely. I know when I first reached out, your career was definitely super interesting, and we're going to definitely delve nice and deeply into the journey of how you've got to where you are. But I mean, what you guys are doing at Ag1 is obviously super interesting. What would be good maybe for the listeners to understand is what makes Ag1 different maybe to compared to a competitor? What makes you guys unique?
Well, the most used tool for getting ideas kind of like in paper, like the traditional way, is the text editor. The text editor is a tool that has been used to get ideas from the mind through a document. And we find out that there was a lack of a tool that could help you to kind of spread out a structured idea, and the AI could browse the web, scrape all the information that could relate to your idea, and make it structured, cited, and ready for for a book, for a maybe an essay, homework, research, documentation, like kind of help you to get an idea down to paper and make it super clear, super structured. I don't like this term, but let's say an enterprise ready research tool. That will be it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know how it is. I mean, I'm constantly got my notepads right in front of me, and I've always got ideas I'm jotting down about how we could do this, we could do that. But actually, sometimes it's that, okay, how do we action this? How's it going to be put into action as such? So super cool what you guys are doing, and obviously we'll delve a little bit more into it shortly. But where I'd love to obviously start the conversation off is a bit about recruitment. So I'd love to understand your thoughts behind getting the right team in place and what you think is important.
Okay, so I think the most important thing is the equilibrium or intersection between the ability to get an outcome done, whatever role you're planning, and the drive and openness of the person that you're looking for. So I'll say it's 50-50, the technical side, and the other 50, the other half would be the certain personality traits that that can help you increase the capacity of execution from that certain role. So I don't care whenever I hire someone, I don't care which university they studied, which career, even if they actually graduated from college or whatever. I just need to see what they have done in the past and kind of the attitude and openness of this person to learn more and be pushed to create bigger things. I think for me, that's the only thing I care. Um, and I've learned this the hard way. I've hired a lot of people that has drained time, energy, time, and yeah, slowly, slowly, I've learned that we have to intersect these two parts to make it work.
Definitely. I think it's such an important thing. I think if I look at like the recruitment industry as such, there's no educational requirement. There's no degree out there that says I can go and study recruitment at university. If there was, I'm sure it would be boring as crap, but there it doesn't exist. And so actually, the same for when I interviewed my previous companies and whatever, it's okay, what attributes, how willing are you to learn? How willing are you to put the graft in to get the work done? So it is a super important thing. Obviously, skill set comes down to it, and there's certain industries, maybe something like cybersecurity, sales, where having that knowledge or understanding does help a little bit. But as long as you're willing to learn and develop, then they're the most important attributes. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. Right now, I use different tools if someone is interested. For example, there's the well-known Upwork platform. So there you can hire a lot of people from Europe, from Asia, from lots of places, and you can test them in project style tasks. So maybe that's a good idea to first test someone with a small project, with a small task, with just one feature or whatever, and you can take notes on the interaction, the relationship that you're having with that freelancer, let's say. And if you see potential, maybe you can send an offer to a long-term relationship. And also, I like tools like Y Combinator. In Y Combinator has different tools to find co-founders, to have also specific roles. So that's pretty cool. Like look where like visionary people is congregating and try to find your prospects there, and then kind of look for a way to have a trial period for the work relationship, and if it works, maybe you can make it like long term.
Yeah, definitely. I think having that ability and using those different tools, it was actually making me think of one of my friend's companies that he's built a company just on having partners rather than employees. And he's used his network to bring in these highly skilled individuals to basically build out his company. And I think if you have those tools and that network to find them, it makes life 10 times easier, especially if you can test them prior to know what they're like. I mean, I personally used Upwork, Fiverr, stuff like that all of the creativity for the podcast is basically coming from those softwares or those marketplaces, I suppose. And it's super useful, especially as, I suppose, in the startup world, sometimes we're bootstrapped or we have investors, but we're limited with cost. I can't afford to hire someone in America that wants a 200K salary. But I can go and find just a skilled person using Upwork or Fiverr and have them on a freelance basis, temporary, And if they're worth their value, then I can make that upfront investment for somebody rather than taking the risk of, okay, I employ this person for 6 months and they don't work out, then that's a huge cost to me as a startup. That's I'm bootstrapped, so they're super useful, and more people should potentially look at those routes. Obviously, I shouldn't be really been saying that as a recruiter, but they are super useful, and it's something I use myself.
Yeah, of course. When the company is a little bit more grown, where you pass the 500K MRR benchmark, I'll say that's the point where you can partner with a recruiter agency or an individual recruiter to get, let's say, a premium C-level role that will be 200K a year or 300K a year or whatever. That's super important because that's the point where you're trying to buy back your time in the company. So at first, all your time, all your focus is there, but when you get that benchmark, maybe that's the benchmark is different for different industries or countries or whatever, but yeah, that's the time that you want to zoom out a little bit as a founder and place C-level roles that will buy you time, basically. And of course, they probably know many things that you don't know yet, and they can help you scale in a faster way.
Yeah, definitely. Super important. Well, I'd love to sort of take the conversation is a little about building a culture. I'd love to understand what your thoughts are behind building a good culture within an organization.
I think we all depends on habits. So when with my team, I try to learn from their best habits on work life, even like morning routines or all that kind of things. So first thing I do is get all the developers and people that may not be identified as active people, let's say, and train them. Like go to the gym, go surfing. Yeah, maybe share fasting routines, morning routines, and diet routines, and all that, so that they can discover how the optimal state feels like when you're more active, more creative. And I do this since 10 years ago when I first started my first company. The most important thing that I shared is that we are all a team, and I want every single part of the team to be on the optimal state. I will share them supplements, all these routines, mindset. I may take a coffee with each one of them, like separate, like one-to-one time, quality time to know about their lives, their goals, align that goals to the company goal. And I think that way we create an actual team, an actual kind of like an inner cult where we all try to be at the best in every single area of life, not just the company. Also, when you're starting a company, you will find yourself maybe working at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. I used to think that was normal, But eventually I stop the team when we are like past 1 a.m. or something. Like there's no point of not having proper sleep, so we can cut the work now and get on it tomorrow. Like yeah, there's no point on sacrificing sleep or sacrificing health for having a feature 1 day before, let's say. So yeah,
Definitely.
I'm kind of like a wellness mentality founder, and I like all the team to be on that same mindset because I've seen it works. I've seen when they go to another company, when all that matters is work, they will lose creativity. They will start hating on the boss or whatever. So I have many situations when someone on the team gets a higher offering on a certain role, but they will come back after 2 or 3 months because they will lose the culture there. Because I think it's more important to have um, as let's say an intangible, some kind of salary that is intangible, that but it actually increases your life quality than just going for a higher salary on another company that won't care about this, or they will feel like they are just a replaceable part that don't require them to be creative, to think, and all that. So, yeah, I I focus a lot about uh, on this certain stuff. Yeah.
No, definitely. No, I completely agree with what you're saying. When I was starting out early in my recruitment industry, that I was up against two guys that started with me, and they were just outperforming me, just doing a little bit better, and I couldn't quite work out what it was. And I was working longer hours. I was in the office first, out the office last, and I had that mentality. I've always been someone that I always say that I'll outwork anybody. However, the biggest difference was I used to go to the gym 5, 6 times a week, and I started working and just stopped. I just wanted to work, and I thought that's what I needed to do. The difference was these guys were going for runs, they were going to the gym, they were eating well, whereas I was eating takeaways in the office to try and get as much work done. And then quickly, my boss went to me and said, "What do you think's different, Ollie? Why are they doing a bit better than you?" Couldn't pinpoint it. And he went, "They're going to the gym, they're looking after themselves, they're taking time for themselves." And actually, as soon as I started going to the gym again, my mentality was better, my mental health was better, that I actually started to beat them. And I was like, okay, cool. If I can manage still working those amount of hours, but just taking 1 or 2 hours a day to focus on Ollie, then I can be a lot better. And actually, it's something that I advise everybody. Even last week, I noticed it myself that I was stupendously busy with work, but I didn't go to the gym. And I got to Friday, and I went, what's wrong with me? Why am I so tired? Why am I like, what's going on? And I was like, I just hadn't been to the gym. I hadn't done the things. I hadn't been to cricket training. I hadn't played any sport. And actually, already today, been to the gym, been for a run, feeling already better, more energized, more focused, more being able to do the simple tasks without even thinking about it. And so having advice, and I love the fact of you educate people on that as well, because it's all well and good you knowing what to do, but as you said, quite a lot of people don't. And I don't think many leaders take that approach in the sense of they'll tell you what to do, and they'll tell you, okay, you should do this, but actually sometimes people need educating on it. And so I love that you do that, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, more than educating them, I think it's more like coaching them, pushing them to do better for their life. And in exchange, I think we have like kind of like an agreement that they sense I do care about their lives, their well-being, their health. So in exchange, I think I get the extra mile on creativity, work, and everything that's needed to make the company better.
Definitely. Well, look, what I'd love to take the conversation is actually a little bit about your journey. So I know it is a really interesting journey that you've been on. So I'd love to start as close to the beginning as we can and sort of what's led up to basically starting Ag1 Labs now.
How it started Ag1 Labs, okay.
Well, no, I'd love to start with actually everything that led up to starting Ag1. So the start of your career, and then I know you had a couple of companies when you were a lot younger. So I'd love to talk a bit about those as well.
Okay, so story short, I dropped out from college when I was 20 years old. I think I was in second semester, something like that. And I never find myself like complete or fulfilled on following the traditional path on college, with maybe kind of controversial, and I dropped out. I didn't have any idea of what I will do. I had like some vague ideas that I needed to start a business, but there wasn't that clear. And I was super broke, man, because I didn't have any income on any nature. I only had like and I have bills to pay. I had to pay rent. I have to pay certain other things to keep living, basically, to keep surviving. And I had these two options, like to apply to a certain role, maybe on the sales side, where you don't need to be to have a career or a university title or whatever, or to try to start my own thing. And I decided to start my own thing. I was not sure what exactly to start with, but I had a big interest on the private equity private equity strategies. I had been researching a lot of it, mainly from YouTube or the web, and of course, no one wanted to risk their money on a 20-year-old dude that was a dropout. So I found a way that by optimizing the tax strategy on the payroll distribution, I can generate savings on a company, basically from tax strategies. So I started to read the law. I started to call people on LinkedIn that were qualified on this legal in this legal side, and I kind of put up a strategy where companies will save about 6% on their total payroll every month, and I will propose to put that 6% on a private equity fund and kind of gamble the market a little bit. So yeah, it was a trial and error process, but I managed to get some returns. And then I was looking for a way to get bigger returns from that savings. So we decided to create a company that will make loans on a credit card to the same employees that I was kind of managing to save some taxes for their for the company that they were working for, and that way I pulled some decent capital, about $1 million in month 4 or 5, and we open up the credit lines. We give them the credit line, the credit cards, and they will and we will pay out from the payroll. So we will discount the credit plus the interest from the payroll directly, and that way we don't have much risk. And yeah, the cycle start going on, and then a bigger company that raised I don't remember exactly, like $40 million, decided to make an offer for our intellectual property, systems, and everything, and we decided to sell. And yeah, that was the beginning of my journey. I operated that company for about 2.5 years. It was actually pretty fast. Got the exit, and for the first time in my life, I had some cash in the bank that I don't needed to stress on that, and decided to travel a lot, to find myself in a spiritual way, to master yoga, master meditation, master all these things that will help me find myself and my real mission. And when my mission was clear, I moved to Silicon Valley, and it was 2021. AI was getting started. I joined a movement that was called Effective Accelerationist. There's a code for that movement, and Twitter is super popular. Some of the YC some of the YC team has this key on their X profile. Also, a lot of people in the AI space, that is AECC, Effective Accelerationist. And I had the opportunity to meet a lot of the unicorn founders in the space, and to see AI or machine learning evolve to what we know AI today, LLMs, and all these probabilistic models. And I partner with Grok, not Grok from Elon Musk, the other Grok that is GOOQ, and we were their first customer. Actually, they provide us an infrastructure to run LLMs in the fastest possible way. We kind of decided to compete with Perplexity, because we were like, we started around the same time with the same idea, an AI that can browse the web, that can structure information, and that provide a better outcome from a Google search. Let's say that was like the original idea. So we were slow raising capital. Perplexity was super fast raising capital. they gain a lot of market share. So we decided to pivot a little bit. Okay, so we can pivot to research papers and all that. So we kind of go the academic into the academic side of research. And then we kind of aggregated some features for documentation for developers. And yeah, that was the way that Ag1 gets started. Then I started to talk to customers. Who's using this? We launch on Product Hunt, we launch on different platforms for early adopters. And we had this magical moment when we jumped from, let's say, 5,000 users to about 100,000, 100K users. So we're like, where does these users are coming from? We didn't know actually. We didn't have like a proper tracking for knowing how that actually happened. So we decided to schedule meetings with random users, and after about 200 meetings, we find out they were all students from Stanford, some from Berkeley, and others from universities in Asia, mainly India. So we decided to double down on the student value proposition and to tweak a little bit the product to fulfill a little bit better the intended use that they were giving. We partner with some universities and get like bigger volume in users. So we actually get super close to 500,000 users, which is a fucking lot.
Yeah.
And the product was, let's say, 90% of the features were free. So we decided to narrow down, and we learned about a lot about paywalls, how to prevent churn from happening, and we were doing actually pretty good. And after, I don't know, 6 months of killing it, OpenAI decides to create a feature called Canva that was actually pretty similar to our initial product. So we had a drop on on usage on about 92% from 1 week to another. So we were like, fuck, what are we going to do? And yeah, we decided to pivot back to the research side, document side, and we find a niche that was a high pay niche actually, that was the writers, the writing niche for SEO, books, newsletters, and all that. So we decided to focus a little bit more on that side, and we kind of managed to get a higher ticket per user, and that way kind of find a nice intersection between number of users and MRR, and that way we kind of get stable and to grow between 7 and 10% every month, and there's where we are right now. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, look, I remember when we first spoke, your career has been super interesting. I love the fact that you've been a multiple time founder, and you're also very honest and very open about like the challenges, and it's never always plain sailing. It's never, if it was easy to be a founder, I think everybody would be one, or if it's easy to ever receive any exits. I mean, some people can build 4 or 5 companies and then they never sell. It's just how it is sometimes. So the fact you've had that roller coaster and the ability to also get to know yourself, and as you said, from the spiritual side and everything like that, I think it is a super awesome career. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. What I'd love to get your perspective on, and that 2023, 2024, very challenging years for a lot of companies. It was a lot of transitioning periods, different ways of selling. How are you, or what do you see in the market at the moment to be important for bringing in new clients? It could be how you're doing it, or just what you think is important.
How to bring new clients? That's the $1 million question. Yeah, it depends. For example, I have another company that's called Boring Media. It's not that public because we specifically partner with content creators. So we partner with content creators. We kind of do as discovery phase where we look for an offer that we can offer to their audiences, partner 50-50. Actually, this is one of the easiest businesses that you can start that will give you 500K in less than 3 months. So we find in certain niches, for example, we are focusing mainly on self-development niche, life transformation, coaching, psychology, and all that. We find a trending creator that has a big audience on YouTube and also on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. We find what's the best offer that will create a tangible need through a certain narrative to sell to the audiences, and then we provide all the closers, all the automation infrastructure and all that to get between 50 to 100K a month for each creator. Maybe more, depends a lot of their numbers, their credibility and all that, but I think that's the easiest way to get clients, customers, users, because my CAC is zero in that specific business. And my ticket is super high. The average ticket is $2,000 a month in most programs that we offer. We also have low ticket offers, but that's another story for another episode, how to sell both in a, let's say, predictable way. And but yeah, that's the best way to get customers. Traduce that to a SaaS or to a B2C software product or app or whatever. I think your most asserted bet will be to partner with people that already have this specific audience that will consume your product. There's a trend right now on TikTok that customer B2C apps for quitting smoking, for quitting porn, for being more productive, or whatever, is being, let's say, yeah, it's being promoted by TikTok creators. That's an interesting trend right now, because I've seen a lot of friends and myself. I've done that. Go to Upwork, create a super cool UX. I think that's the most impactful quality that a founder can have to know to create and design actual products, to master Figma, to master referral designs and all that, all these, let's say, planning product sites. Take advantage of that, and then find someone that can develop it in about 1 month or less. You will spend probably 2K, 3K, which is not much, and you'll have a ready-to-use app. Then that's the easy part. There's that's where the hard part comes in, which is finding the users and making them pay. So for that, as I say, your biggest bet is to find where these users are congregating and try to keep your CAC as close to zero as possible. And that way you can find your first users. And when you have certain traction, then you can have proper people in your team that you can hire full time, and that way you can slowly scale to something more tangible or serious. And yeah, that's cool. For example, in the SaaS space, you also will launch with a high ticket product, which will help you a lot on surviving your first months. That's why most VCs try to fund B2B products, SaaS products, because B2C is super hard and low ticket positioning is considerably harder than the B2B high ticket positioning. So yeah, I think how to get users, getting back to your question, find where there are congregating and make sure to create an offer that will match perfectly to their needs, to their problems. And yeah, you have to get their attention. You have to be creative and get your prospects' attention in the most clever way that you can actually execute. Yeah, I think that's how you get clients, you get users.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I absolutely love that. I mean, I've been jotting down some notes myself about a few different things, a few different projects going on, and you are exactly right. If you can find where they're congregated, or you can utilize somebody else's network for pushing your product out there. If someone's gone to the work of obviously having a very smart, connected network, I mean, I'd put myself in sort of in that category that I've built. I'm very proud of it, of my LinkedIn following. That is it's a very selected market. A majority of them are CEOs, VPs of sales, founders that basically when I post, that's who they're going to. I don't tend to connect with recruiters. There's plenty of my friends who go, oh, Lila, I've got 20,000 followers. And I go, show me your stats. I bet you 20 or 30% of them are recruiters. And lo and behold, they've connected with, okay, cool. So when you post, are you actually hitting the right person? Is it going to the right audience that's actually going to see your post that hopefully will generate business? Well, the answer is probably no at that point. So it's all well and good having those numbers, but actually how useful are those numbers to you? And I think it's the same with, obviously, if you're selling a product and you find someone, like I know a girl that's a TikToker and all of her following Spanish and they're all girls. So if you have a product that's Spanish and it's perfect for girls, then she's the right person. But then there's other people I know that are barbers and they have all their products are men and they're all based in a certain location. Okay, cool. You could sell a hair product for them, or you could give them a hairbrush that maybe they'll want to buy. It's all about obviously that targeting approach and knowing what are you going to hit, as you said, the congregation of people. Where I'd love to take the conversation, just to finish it off, is a little bit about work-life balance. I know for a lot of people, it doesn't exist, or they think it's a laugh and a joke. But I'd love to understand like what you do to find balance between work and life and how you think about it.
Okay, I'll start this with an interesting statement. If your whole company depends on your daily time dedicated to running it, you don't actually have a company, you have a work. So as a founder, let's say if you're a founder, you have to be able to disappear for 2 weeks, and the company needs to keep constant on revenue, on users, on operations, on everything. So I think the whole point on taking risks is to gain time. Time is the most valuable thing that we have in life. Is the only thing that won't come back. Even money will come back, but time won't. So if you decide to start a project, you decide to take a risk, you have to keep in mind that it is full to gain time. Money will be exchanged for time eventually in your life. So that's like the first concept. The second one is, okay, so at first you have to put some effort in. You have to be there, you have to learn certain skills. And if you will put some time in, make sure, first of all, that is a skill, as let's say, a certain combination of activities that you actually enjoy, that are related to your natural advantages. For example, I like negotiation, I like selling, and I like designing products, and I like also the part of building the culture inside the company. But I hate going to the bank. I hate legal stuff. I know how to code, but it's not my biggest advantage. So I always get out or apart from the things that are not, as I define it, a flow time. Everything that gets me in flow, I will do it because it's not an obligation. It's more like something that I enjoy, that I can put myself into, and I will be happy. I will be in this flow state. But everything else, I don't even try it because I will get frustrated eventually. I will get tired of. So if you find what are the main activities that you actually enjoy, that way your balance is mostly done, because you have an art. You're practicing an art that you can get yourself into, and you can find flow state and be fulfilled. But don't get me wrong, you need to make sure that someone else does the other things. That's where leadership comes into. So concept 3, I think, will be leadership, or I will actually find a better name to it. Let's put it leverage. So you have to leverage. And to leverage, you have to find the best people with what gets us back to recruitment and culture and all this topic. So in order to do that, you can leverage from an agency, from recruiters, and you also have to keep in mind to make fast decisions. Okay, someone's getting to this role to take care of this, and that. You have to take fast decisions to let them in, and also to fire them and replace them. Because if someone is dragging you and giving you stress, is not optimal for the position, in less than 1 month, you have to fire that role and find a replacement, or your balance, your peace will drain. That's a painful lesson that I think everybody starting something will kind of experience something like that, but you don't have to experience it twice. First time you will understand this leverage less, and the second time you better be super fast, sign a trial agreement, so you don't have legal impediments or obstacles to let that person be replaced in the future in case it doesn't pass the trial phase. And that way you can be fast and find as fast as possible the people that could be convenient or productive to take care of everything else that you don't enjoy or that is hard to do yourself. And I think those three things are the most important ones. And also there's the, let's say, life, the life balance, not only work balance. Life balance is take care of yourself, create the best habits that you can, and I think that in combination to the other three concepts will make it.
Yeah, definitely. Look, that's some. I mean, it's super solid advice to finish off the podcast. I think if anyone's listening, and this is exactly the advice that I want people to be hearing, of the one, looking after yourself, but also, obviously in certain scenarios it's hard to look after yourself. You have to put a bit more effort in certain parts of your life, but as long as in the back of your mind you're looking at the non-negotiables of, this is what I know that I have to do every day to keep myself in a good tip-top shape. As you said earlier, the optimal state. Most people hardly ever experience that optimal state, but when you can experience it, and you will know, because you'll realize that, blimey, I'm flying through these tasks rapidly, or my brain is just firing on all cylinders. And I love when I'm feeling like that. I feel like I'm unstoppable when it comes to work or business or whatever it be. But look, I can't thank you enough for your time. It's obviously been super interesting. So much knowledge that's been dropped here. So thank you so much for the first episode of our new season. I kind of asked for a better guest on the show, so I really do appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Oliver. I hope to jump out to jump into the podcast again in the future, and it was super fun to share. Thanks, man.
Thanks so much.